Well, hello everybody. Welcome back to G Bear's Off-Grid Ways, a homestead in the desert. And finally, I get to wander outside. Well, actually, I have wandered outside. Had to feed the animals and got all the dogs here. They're all fed. Gillis found a chew that somebody left behind, and he was the lucky one to snag it. So he's going to be chewing for a little while. So anyway, I got all the chickens fed, the dogs are fed, and for a couple of days the winds have been just hellacious. I mean, terrible. 25 to 30 miles per hour, day and night, non-stop, constant, just irritating. Can't do anything. But I have been doing stuff. I came out here into the garage, and I had these metal shelves back here that I'm using for storage now. These were in my van for years, and they got rattled around and bounced around, and a lot of the screws and the boxes of screws have all torn open, and this shelf right down here was just scattered with, well, you can see there's still some down there I haven't cleaned up yet because I can't find the box for them. But that whole shelf from that side to that side and from the front all the way to the back, I would say that's probably a 2x3. So that's about 6 square feet of screws, 3/4 of an inch to an inch thick, just all mixed and mingled together. So you see the boxes are all here. I got more here, and some up there, and I put some over there. And over here, I found this one tray out in the desert, and I said, that'll come in handy for something. And it did. So what I did put in here was all self-drilling, self-tapping screws. So I've got all different sizes in here. So if I'm doing something with metal and I need to fasten a couple of pieces of metal together, I know to come right to this box. It's got everything I need. So I still have piles of screws like this I've got to sort through, but I've been in here for, well, a complete total over the last 3 days, I would say about 11 hours sorting screws, and just driving me up a wall, but I had to get it all done. It was a necessary thing. So here's another plastic box I found out in the desert, but this one's got some cracks in the bottom of it. I'm going to do a weld repair on those with the plastic welder, and I'll be able to store some screws in there. And see, I got that box there is full of those square drive 3-inch screws that came with the pallets that the pallets were put together with. And I'll be using those up when I get going on the chicken coop and the garden extension. So anyway, it's finally a nice day to wander out. And I've been down to the garden checking things out. My rolling magnet that I pick up nails with, my neighbors needed to borrow it. They keep getting flats and they got nails everywhere. See, I got screws and nails down in here, and some of those are good, like the 1-inch and 1 1.25 inch gray decking screws, and that 1.5 inch pan head there. That's all good stuff. I can use that. And there's a washer down there and a hose clamp. I'll be using that stuff. I'll be picking it all up and getting it into the proper boxes and the proper sequences. So it is so nice to walk out here and not have the winds blowing and howling on a constant. Just, oh my word, it was just horrible. And trying to sleep at night, and you can hear the woo, 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 woo. Hey, did I make that sound? all night long. That's all I could hear. So let's take a walk down to the garden house real quick, and I'll show you something, because I don't want you to miss this. And I know you people that are into plants and gardening are going to love this. And here we go. Look at the blossoms. Oh my word. Blossoms everywhere. Yep, this is the quince. And some of those have dropped their leaves. They're all through the garden here. And those things smell like roses. They get a real nice, sweet fragrance to them. And then here's all the pears. This is all Bartlett pear. There. This is the apples. This is the Fuji apple. Look at all the blossoms are all starting to open up here. Oh my gosh. And there's the Gala apples. So I've seen some small bees in here pollinating. That's a good thing. So we'll see what happens with the rest of this as it goes, and see how many pieces of fruit it sets. I know I can't leave too many on there because the tree's not big enough to support a heck of a lot of fruit, and that'll just make for small fruit. And I'd rather have 4 large ones than 12 tiny ones. So I'll get that done. The peas are getting taller. They're up about 10 inches now. And the cilantro is doing good. Everything's been watered. This little thing here is where I dug into it to see how much water was below the surface. But look at all the grapevines doing great. And there's all my radishes. Somebody did ask how many radishes I planted. I got 5 rows of radishes with about 30 radishes per row. So that's somewhere in the neighborhood of 150. So give or take, because every now and then a couple of seeds fall into the same hole. But yeah, look at the grapevines. They got the leaves are popping out on them now, and the buds on there. And then the one that's been going for a couple of years and providing me with fruit every year, look, it's got a cluster of grapes there, another one sticking out right there, and all over this thing there's clusters of grapes starting to pop out of it. I'm going to have a lot of grapes this year. Don't know how my grafts are doing. I think this one may have failed. The tag was banging into the rubber tape I used, and it tore up the rubber tape, so I had to redo it with parafilm, and hopefully it takes. But what I really want is the Concord to take onto this vine, and run a Concord out in that direction. That'll be fun. But yeah, there's going to be a lot of grapes this year, and I might have to make a bottle of wine. Bottle of wine, fruit of the vine, when you gonna let me get sober? Leave me alone, let me go home. Let me go home and start over. Yeah, I might have some wine with my bistec ranchero tonight. That's for supper. The blossoms for the pear here fell off, and I think it's probably because I see some sprouts coming out there, and they may have stolen from the blossoms and not been able to handle it. But there are the blossoms down there, all 3 of them. But that's okay. It's a young branch, and it's grafted, and I don't want it to. It was only grafted in February. I don't want it to have a big old pear sitting on there and break the graft. It's better that I just let it go for the season. And I am going to be doing a grafting video ASAP because somebody asked me about they want to learn to do grafting. There's really not that much to it. There's a bunch of different types of grafts you can use. Because I do mostly fruit trees, I keep them down to a couple of basic grafts, like the T-cut in the bark, the tongue and whipping tongue, and certain things like that. But I also have a special grafting tool I'll show you that you can buy online, and works out pretty good. All right, so as a matter of fact, I think one of these apples, yeah, this one, this Sharon apple was done with that grafting tool. It cuts a specific shape in both branches, and when the scion is the same size as the branch you're going to go onto on the rootstock, you can use that, and it gives a good cambium layer connection, so you get a good successful graft. Now this one I did the T-cut in the bark down here, and you can see where it's healed pretty good. So this one is done up here. I'll be showing you those different techniques, and one thing I want to mention, I'll mention it again when I do that video. Don't get frustrated if your first couple of tries your grafts fail. That happens to everybody, but you learn as you go, and if you just take your time and you have a successful graft, all of a sudden you think to yourself, well, I had 1 out of 4 that was successful. I'm going to try it again, and you'll get it. All right, everybody, that's all I have. I'm going to get out here and do some more work. Hopefully, they're saying that starting later this week, we're going back up into the 80s, and it's going to be summer-like weather for the next, well, the foreseeable future. I hadn't seen anything to break it down. It's going to be in the 80s for the next 10 days of 2 weeks, so that's a good thing. Thanks for joining me, everybody. Don't forget your thumbs up. Don't forget to share and subscribe. Any questions and comments, leave them below. I am one of those people that gets back to everybody who leaves a comment. I'll get back to you within a day's time, but if not, right away. So thanks for joining me. This is G Bear signing off.